Welcome back to the Just Men podcast, a podcast by Jeremy and
Byron Rose Kelly.
Byron Rose Kelly. Thank you, Byron. We're talking about all things men, masculinity, everything in between. Okay. Now, welcome back. This is episode 3. Byron, how are you feeling? This is our third time on the internet together. How's it feeling? Right?
It feels pretty good because they actually say if you make it past 3 episodes in a podcast, you're winning. You've made it. Hitting the big time.
We've made it. We've made it up to the third one. And we've actually started a new ritual, Byron and I, because we felt for the first 2 episodes like, it's a bit flat for the first 20, 30 minutes.
Where is the energy, Jeremy?
Where's the energy? And then the energy, like, the podcast just gets better in the second half. So I thought, how do we make it, like, really fucking good from the get-go? So we decided to warm up by playing some video games together. A good
best
20, 30
warm-up
minutes.
ever.
And it's good. It's good. It's like, bro, how's your day going? Yeah, it's not too bad.
Well, when you're like 2,000 kilometers apart, you've got to.
You got to. That's how we connect. That's how men connect. Speaking of connection, that's what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about friendships. Friendships for men. Friendships between men. Friendships between men and ladies. Friendships between men and other people. It's a scary topic, but we're going to be talking about a lot of cool things, why it's so important to have friends, why men actually struggle to make friends, how we make friends, why it's important to have friends with not just guys, but also girls as well, how to navigate those challenges when they pop up and why we should keep encouraging these things. So,
is that allowed though?
It is. It is allowed, Byron, and we'll tell you why.
It's a juicy episode, Jeremy.
Juicy. It's going to be good. Now, again, just a gentle plug for if you really enjoy our vibe and what we provide on your morning walks, on your workouts, on your drive to work, whatever it is, on the Just Men podcast, consider supporting us on our Patreon, the Just Men podcast. It's quite simply just a way for us to pay the Spotify fees, really, so we can keep this podcast on the air. It's just, at the moment, a hobby, and we'd like to try and reach as many people as we can, and that's the best way to show support if you enjoy what we do. So
if we would really appreciate it if you at least checked it out. So go click on the link, have a look. Even if you don't decide to just subscribe, keep listening to us, please.
Yeah, we put a lot of work into this banner. You'll see it with some photos, and we made a logo and everything. It's been a nice little project. I've been
it sure has. Very healthy masculinity type
Very
stuff.
healthy. It's a nice boy project. Just working on something. It's nice. Feels very makes us feel very accomplished, and it's good. I've been happy. It's good. Now, friendships for men, they are important. Byron, in your experiences, why have they been? Why are friendships important for men? Why is it important for a guy to have friends? Just straight up.
Because only a man can understand another man's struggles, I think. Especially, and we can get into females and things in the later aspect, but sometimes being a man can be quite a lonely prospect.
Yeah.
You try and shoulder your own battles. You go through life thinking that no one cares about how you feel. They might care about what you think on certain funny subjects, or dropping the gag, or being the clown, or doing dumb shit on the weekend. But when it comes down to it, I think having people around that you do trust, and that people who can get a bit of a glimpse behind the facade makes you feel less alone. So that's why I think they're important.
100%. It's one of those things I would like to say I've always been fortunate to have good friends, but that hasn't always been the case. And through a learning process, I've had to figure out what actually makes for a good friend, and what is someone who, I would have considered a friend, but they're not a genuine friend. And we'll get into that a bit more later in this episode, but I 100% agree in that I think as guys, we like to shoulder a lot of things alone. Maybe it's a struggle that we're facing, or something just difficult, but we don't like to tell other people about it because, maybe they think I'm weak for complaining about it or wanting to talk about it, or maybe that makes me less manly because I actually have problems. But the truth of the matter is, every single person on this planet, regardless of your gender, has problems which they have to face. And it's not something that you have to go through alone, and it's definitely difficult to open up and talk to about it. But as we've kind of discussed in some previous episodes, the way you open up to people. It's not 0 to 100. You are.
What are you talking about? He's on my emotional baggage.
Whoa, slow
Take
down.
it all. What? No, come on. I thought we were past this.
Yeah, but hey, it's a reminder. This might be the first episode some people listen in, and that's
Very true.
fine.
Go
That's
back
fine.
and listen to episode 1 and 2, people.
Oh,
very
beautiful.
important.
It's very important. But it is crucial because as much as we might like to think, yeah, it's tough. It's a manly thing to, keep all of my problems to myself, to shoulder everything. It doesn't make you any less or more manly by handling problems by yourself or getting some help.
No, and I actually think the longer you try and handle stuff by yourself, the more it wears you down and the worse off you end up. So I think, like, from experience, I did it for many, many years. And then when I finally had my moment where I could not shoulder it any longer, the fallout was a lot worse than it would have been if I had just dealt with things in smaller doses. So it's like, okay, we've learnt from that experience. Let's not go through that again.
Well, just from your experience, and because for anyone, again, looking at you, they'd think, wow, this guy's got it all together. He's fit, he's got a great partner, he's earning some good money. God, he must not have a problem in the world. But, we've talked about it before. You've had your own share of battles that you've had to deal with on both emotional and, I guess, a life front, which has affected you quite heavily mentally. For someone, again, just in your experience, who has trouble, I guess, opening up about personal struggles, what would you say would be a really good first step in addressing those?
Or first, honestly, like for me, it actually took talking to a professional about it first. But I guess prior to that, it was seeing someone that I respected who was someone I consider quite a strong person. Funnily enough, she's a woman, but she's very, very tough, strong lady. Being somewhat emotionally vulnerable to me allowed me to see that, okay, maybe this is an acceptable thing to be towards other people. And then once I had that first acknowledgement, which hopefully this podcast can do for a lot of people, like I'm hoping you are never in the state where you have to go get professional help to see that it's okay to be vulnerable towards other people. But once you've opened that gate, right, like you said last week, it is taking things a little bit slow. It's accepting within yourself that, these things aren't just like the individual situation might be unique to you, but the struggle on a wider scale is not. A lot of people can relate. And then if you do test the waters with somebody and you gauge their reaction and it's not a reaction you feel comfortable with, it doesn't mean you don't have to go any further. Right? Because you will find, especially with men, some guys are not ready for it. They're just not. They will shut you down. They will laugh at your pain. They'll tell you you're a pussy. And then end of days, like you're like, yeah, fuck, I'm just shit. I'll leave.
100%.
But no, yeah, you do find those guys, even unspoken, can demonstrate that they get where you're at.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It doesn't require any big words, but it's like, hey man, let's just go smack out a few reps on the bench press. Let's go put some of our stresses into a barbell.
It's quite interesting how men connect in that way, though, isn't it? Because while I think a lot of guys are not great with words, I know myself, I'm still getting better. I feel like over the years I've gotten astronomically better at expressing myself, especially after learning to become comfortable with getting vulnerable with people.
Yeah.
My vocabulary expands. I'm able to express what I'm feeling a lot more easily. It's still not perfectly, obviously, but being able to express what I'm feeling, how difficult it is for me to deal with it, and why I'm struggling with it, it gets a lot easier to also listen to other people who are also might be struggling with something. Because if you came up to me and said, "Oh, dude, I'm having a bad day because of X, Y, Z," and I'm really struggling with it, I might be able to express, well, dude, sit down and talk to me, and I might be able to empathize and put that into words, which shows that I understand as well.
Yes.
But for guys who are still getting better at learning to express themselves and find the right words, I think a lot of bonding between guys happens in activities.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it could be, like I said, at the gym. Oh, let's just go and let's smash a workout together. A lot could be, let's go don't know, shoot some hoops at the basketball court. Let's go play some video games together. And, you know, it's in those times in which, you know, you're feeling a bit more relaxed. You're enjoying the company around someone else. You know, you might at that point in time feel, oh, maybe I can open up from 0 to 10 with somebody, you know,
Yes,
and just
you
get
start
that
to
ball
divulge
rolling.
little bits more. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit comes out, and then before you know it, they're reciprocating with either their own experience or understanding. And it's like it just happens a lot. It feels a lot safer, I
Yeah,
guess, when you're
absolutely.
doing something, because it's not like you're staring intimately into each
Into
other's
each other's
eyes. And,
eyes.
oh my god, bro, I love you.
I
So
love you so much, dude. Just you have to
you're
know
so
this. I
beautiful.
don't think you understand. Right?
Stop it.
No, you. But I think you're right. You know, I think
Mm.
it's not one of those things in which it's like high pressure. Like
No.
you're sitting down in a chair across from each other and you're looking in each other's eyes with a mug in your
Mm.
hand. It's
Eating ice cream.
our or an ice cream. You know, your attention is focused on something else. You're watching a game. You're watching a show or something. But actually, you probably are familiar. I think hopefully everybody has had this experience where maybe you've had a best bro friend now or at one point in your life where you go for a Macca's run or something, and then I don't know, you just sit in the car and you just talk shit for a few
Yeah,
hours.
shoot the shit for it. Yeah.
And it's
like
good.
now 3 a.m.
Then I was like,
What
oh,
the
bro, I should
fuck?
probably get to bed. It's like, oh, yeah, you'll be right.
I gotta say, one of my first best guy friends, and he still is a good friend, was actually my brother for those exact reasons.
Okay.
Right? Which I know everybody probably assumes that you're going to be friendly with your siblings, but in my experience, it hasn't always been like a bro man, like bro kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Bro man. I don't know what I was trying to say. Bro and man, same thing. But like we would talk to each other in a way that wasn't just like sibling related or that we
Yeah.
owed to each other. We actually could empathize a bit more deeply on our struggles in life.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that connection over time actually helped me be able to do it with people outside, like people outside my inner circle. So I was like, okay, this is it was good training. So if you have a brother and you like your brother and they're a good person, they're not a bad place to start.
That's not about, what's the age difference between you and your brother?
Oh, what is he? He's 23 this year, so 10 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
he's a good kid.
Okay,
He's
no,
a
that's
really
nice.
solid kid.
My brother is younger, is by 2 years, so we're actually quite close. And no, when I think about it, when we were still living at the family home, they're the same thing. Oh, let's pop in and chit chat about XYZ, and then all of a sudden I've been, oh, dude, I've been staying at this doorway for like 2.5 hours, and we've just been talking. It's a good connection.
It's one of the best training grounds, I think, for, and it sounds weird saying that, and not everyone has a biological brother that they can turn to in their formative years, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, there will be inevitably people in your life who you treat like brothers. Like I can count on my hand the guys that I have around who I'd be like, I would adopt you into my family, no problem.
That's really sweet.
And so it's like, yeah,
that's really sweet.
But it's those guys that I trust. Like you're one of them. I would trust you with just about anything.
I appreciate you, friend.
You're
The
like,
feeling is
"Stop it."
mutual. Let me make that clear.
Thank you. But yeah, and they've all come about at different different parts of my life, and then they've all been able to offer me different insights at again different parts.
Okay.
You know, so not all of them have the same shared experience in terms of like if I've gone through a struggle, maybe they couldn't relate. But where one hasn't, you know, maybe there's been another bro ham that's gone, hey, I feel that one. But none of them have ever turned me away. I've never turned any of them away either.
Oh, I think that's what we strive for, to, you know, have that brothership
100%.
just between mates. It doesn't even have to be family bonds, which is nice if it is, but if you don't have that family, you can find friends who you love so much that they can feel like family, which I think is a wonderful thing to have. Yeah. Now, men typically form friendships, you know, bonding through sports or
Activities.
TV or
Butting
video
heads.
games, butting heads. Why do you think, though, it's a documented thing that there's a male loneliness epidemic, and it's very evident that guys are struggling to make friends, and that's both as adults or even, you know, younger men? Why do you think that is, Byron? Just in your opinion, why do you think that is?
I think the modern world actually gives us less chances to interact on a personal level. And I don't mean personal in the DMs. I mean personal face to face, right? I'm not blaming social media or anything, but we do have we have higher work demands than we probably have ever had. We have more connectivity online, especially in jobs. Like you think about work from home and stuff like that. So you don't actually have to be around the guys all the time.
Yep.
There's less dudes to be around, right? Unless you're specifically going to places where there are lots of guys to hang out with, you're not interacting with as many men. If I think about it, aside from when I'm in the gym, I would not hang out with another guy in person all week, right? And I don't really interact with those dudes.
Yeah. I agree.
But I talk to you. I talk to my mate and I send him memes all the time. I have conversations with another bro on the phone and I do all these things, but I've established those connections in person. Every single one of those has come about from having a consistent and reliable way of interacting with those guys. And I think if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't have those friendships that I do now. Yeah. So I think that's what the big challenge in the modern age is. We just don't get it. We don't have as much opportunity.
We'll get into that in just a second of, our personal suggestions of where you can actually make friends, right? But I also think the struggle with making friends as a guy in the modern age is, again, like you said, there's a lot of less opportunity for one, but I think there's also a lot more, I guess, forced responsibility, I think, in which friendships and relationships are not as important as other things. For example, building a career, maintaining, a family life, trying to better yourself as an individual to the point that, you can become, a provider, you can become a reliable man, you can become, a leader in your field, whatever it is. And I think that personal development, that personal growth, and that focus to work on yourself, like, going to the gym, being healthy.
Yeah, that lone wolf mindset. Right?
Lone wolf mindset is... I feel that has been portrayed in the modern age as something admirable and the most masculine thing to be, right? And don't get me wrong, they're all very important traits and they're all great things to strive for. However, I feel that because that is prioritized so much, relationship building, connection forming, tribe building activities has been put on the back burner. And because they haven't focused on that for so long, it's difficult. Because, again, as I work as a social coach, and one of the biggest things that I do tell people is, just like exercising, socializing is also a muscle. You do need to exercise it, or you're going to lose it, and you're going to get very bad at it. So, my little, I guess, snippet here that I would insert of good practical advice is do start to prioritize the formation of relationships, of connections, of networking. Make that a bit more of a priority. I think a lot of people, let's say, I don't know, you say you got like skill points you put into your talent tree. I don't know if anyone's played World of Warcraft, but you get to put, a point into
solo
strength.
leveling, bro.
Yeah, solo leveling. That's the hot and popping thing these days, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So, you can put a point into strength, a point into intelligence, a point into, agility, whatever it is. But I guess the problem here is I think a lot of people just put all of their points into focus on career, focus on my gains in the gym, and that's all that matters. But if you feel like your social life is starting to suffer as a result of that, don't be afraid to whack a point or two into your social life because it is very important. I mean, what's your opinion here? Because there's this lone wolf mentality kind of also instigates, hey, don't even worry about being social. Don't even worry about the girls. Don't even worry about your dating life. Forget
this whole retreat you can go on to where you just get isolated amongst... Actually, it is with other men in this particular case, so that's not too bad. But the whole idea is no distractions.
Yeah.
The monk state, Zen mode. It's funny, while you were saying all that, I was kind of like, it's conspiracy theory time, Jeremy.
Here we go.
What if this is all socially engineered to isolate men and weaken them?
Who's making the conspiracy? We're living in a patriarchal world, my friend.
No, what do you mean? Men are at the top; they control everything, right? No, I think it's tricky because I think that advent of the solo, the lone wolf mentality has come about as a result of the fact that we are so much more disconnected, like interpersonally
Yeah.
and like physically. So because we're not able or we don't have as much opportunity naturally to engage, it's like, okay, well, we have to adapt by being, you've got to be the lone wolf now to survive. Right? But the saying is like the lone wolf dies, like the
Yep.
pack survives.
Yep, that's
And
exactly
it's
right.
like, well, the pack is pretty important. And I swear like 10 years ago, like 15 years ago, they used to talk about finding your tribe,
Yes.
and you find your tribe of men. And I don't know where that rhetoric has kind of disappeared to, but I think that, if we started to look at it as a bit more around, how do I surround myself with people who are going to A, bring the best out in me, and then B, also challenge me just by being there.
Yeah.
And the easiest thing I can think of is when I try and do work solo, and I think no one's relying on me, and I'm just working away, and I'm supposedly working as hard as I can. I swear I do worse work than if there are other people around. And I know, like for instance, you're busting your balls over in the northern part of Australia.
Yeah.
Me down here in the southern part. Like Jeremy's working hard, and then I see one of the guys that I met at conventions and things, and he's busting his butt in the gym. And I see another dude like busting his butt in his business. And I go, oh, these are all the guys that I respect and I've formed a connection with. I'm like, I need to do my part. And then if I tell them and I get involved in their world and they do the same and share with me about theirs, I'm like, oh, I can't let them down.
Yeah.
The pack's going to leave me behind. So
Well, again, that's it. I think just having those relationships, having those friendships around you, it's done nothing but elevate you. It's done nothing but help you. So,
yes,
some people say, oh, that's a distraction. Well, it depends how you get distracted, because I'm a firm believer, and I've never forgotten, again, another thing that one of my coaches told me is that you are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And I say that literally
so
every
true.
So, if the 5 people that you surround yourself with are hardworking, kind, honest people, there's a fair chance that you're probably a hardworking, kind, honest person as well. But if you surround yourself with people who are, I don't know, lazy, don't really do much, they kind of just want to get by and they're okay with that, well, it's likely that you're probably going to be motivated to be exactly like that as well.
Yeah,
But
and it's no fun being the best in your group either. And
yes,
I don't mean fun as in like literal fun, but if you are always the smartest, the best, the biggest, right? What's the incentive for you to continue to push yourself? And I think men as a whole, when we are at our peak when we compete. And I don't mean viciously compete with each other where we hit each other with clubs, but when we are actively working towards making sure that we're the best part of the tribe that we can be. And then you see a brother doing just as good or better than you are, and you're like, oh, I can't let him slip away. I'm gonna catch up to him, keep him on his toes. Like that shit makes you go harder.
Yeah,
and I think it's really good for the soul. Yeah.
One thing, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm really glad you mentioned that. There is, I think, a little bit of confusion that a lot of guys get wrapped up in when it comes to that competitive edge. Right? I think it's great to have someone to challenge you, to help push you to become better. But at the same time, I had to go through this lesson myself a very hard way, is something called the male ego, which doesn't like to be hurt, right? And what hurts? Losing or not being the best, right? I had to learn very fast that I am not the best. I'm not the smartest. I'm not the best looking. I am not the most knowledgeable in my field. And the second I kind of realized there's always going to be someone better than me, there's always going to be someone I can learn from, it actually gave me a lot of peace. I didn't have to strive to I need to be better than every other guy I meet. I stopped seeing every other guy as competition or, someone who was a potential threat to, my grades as top of the class or, a potential romantic rival or something. Right. And as soon as I kind of found, someone who was quite smart and quite good looking, quite talented, and he just gave me a very simple compliment. It's like, dude, you did great. Good on you.
Yeah.
He wasn't threatened. He wasn't, punching down or trying to tear me down. He just gave me a simple, dude, that was awesome. Keep at it. And it made me realize as well that the best people that you can surround yourself with are, people who are, quote unquote, better than you, so they can help challenge you, but also they don't want to tear you down. They want to build you up. You want to build each other up.
Well, in just the same way, those same guys who give you the compliments also understand that there's a higher chance that you're better than them at something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so it doesn't have to be like, and this is the responsibility, I think, of healthy masculine men, genuinely, is you can be strong. You can be the best at something, but you can also encourage others to be the best them that they can be.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
You don't have to shit on someone else's parade to feel even better about yourself. Because when you do, you know what that screams? Insecure.
I'm insecure.
Right? You're an insecure man, and it's not a good look.
I was having this exact chat with Brian's partner earlier today. It was just the absolute irony of it. Because there was one statement that they made that was like, wow, Jeremy, like, I'm just so humble. Just the irony of saying, oh man, I'm really humble. In the same way, it's like saying, man, I'm so confident.
Yeah.
It just screams that you're not, if it's something that you
Yeah.
feel like you have to prove. In the same way, if you have to prove to another person that, yeah, I'm richer than you. Yeah, I lift more than you in the gym. Yeah, my dating life is better than yours. It just screams that you really are insecure about it and you care a lot that someone else is going to beat you. And at the end of the day, you know, your life is your life. You're only competing with yourself, and someone else's life is someone else's life. They're competing with themselves. And the only thing that the two of you should be doing is encouraging each other to bring the best out of each other. That's all it should be.
I have this mate. He's a very successful man.
Yeah.
Right? He's done great things. He started with nothing. He's worked his ass off, and he's probably one of the most ruthlessly intelligent salesmen I've ever met. Right? But him and I get into a gym, and the friendly right, like this guy could be an absolute asshole to me if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of skill points and stat trees and stuff, his are like up here and mine's like here.
I find that hard to believe. Your peak,
I know,
your
right?
peak.
No. See, this is what you're saying before. There's always someone better than you.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? This guy finds because we have such a good relationship, I swear he has brought the best out of me every time. And he always pips me by just a little bit. I'm like, I'll talk some shit in the gym. He'll go beat whatever I just said. And he's like, all right, talk's over. Let's go. Let's see what you got. I'm like, oh no. So but I can handle losing. And that's a big part of your own secureness.
It is
being able to cop it on the chin when, maybe you talk a mad game and you fall kind of flat. But as a result, I swear that time that I was able to train with him, just in the gym, for instance, the time I was able to spend with him there, I grew so much more than I would have if I would have done it myself, or when I trained with somebody whose skill perhaps wasn't as good as mine.
Yeah.
So it's like there was just like that little edge, but it was always done in a very respectful and encouraging way. I think that if you rank higher, be the bigger guy, right? Be the nice,
Absolutely.
Be the good, strong, masculine man, and fucking encourage the dude who's chasing what you've got. And in reverse, just remember that guy, if they're being an asshole, ditch him. You don't need that type of crap.
You don't need
in
it
your
in
life.
your life.
But if they're being good, take the encouragement and then, use them as a way to gauge your own progress. I think that's
a good way to do it. I think I like to see it as, say we are climbing a mountain together. If someone's further ahead, follow the guy who's willing to drop a rope behind him and help pull you up with him. Right?
Yeah.
Rather than get the guy who's in front of you and is trying to drop stones on you to knock you back down because he feels threatened, right?
Yeah, stay at the bottom, punk. Yeah. Don't follow that guy.
Oh, but again, I think actually I learned a lot of this as both by being a coach and by learning from my own coach. I had to put my ego to the side to admit, yeah, you know what? I don't know everything. Maybe I do need a bit of help from someone who is further ahead. Yeah. So yeah, I pay him some dollary dues and he's like, dude, I got you. He becomes my mentor. My growth just skyrockets because, I'm willing to admit, hey, I don't know everything. I'm willing to listen to you and you learn so much that way.
I think we've just uncovered one of the most healthy masculine traits you can absorb.
What's that?
Putting your ego aside.
It's, I think, one of, if not the biggest thing, I think that holds a guy back from reaching his potential a lot faster is the ego. Just the willingness to say, hey, you know what? I don't know everything. Or, you know what? Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I can learn something here. Because, as we said before, it hurts and it sucks to lose. It hurts and sucks to be wrong about something. And,
Yeah.
the ego never wants to feel hurt. The ego never wants to be wrong. It's like, no, I'm going to die on this hill even if I'm wrong. Like, just put your ego to the side.
Sounds like some arguments I've had.
Oh,
God.
boy. Oh,
Anyway,
boy.
that's a different topic.
Different topic. We'll talk about navigating arguments in a healthy way. That's another topic, all right? Okay,
Sounds like a plan.
let's move along. So, making friends as a guy can be difficult. It can be difficult to know who's healthy for you, but we've kind of, bit by bit, kind of shown this is what a healthy friend should be, what a healthy mentor should be. They want to encourage you, they want to pull you up. Anyone wants to just tear you down all the time, choose not to have those kind of people in your life. But making friends as an adult, particularly, okay, let's do a spectrum. So start from like, school is school. You're pretty much limited to whoever's in your school groups. But after you leave school up to working age, I don't know what it's like to be in a retirement home, so I can't really speak for that. But let's say, from when you leave school as a working adult, Byron, in your experiences, what are the best kind of places to make friends as an old man? What are the best methods to make friends as an adult?
I found, like, for me personally, I found the work environment was, like, because I was part of a large organization, being a bank, one of the biggest banks in Australia. And so as a result, I had access. You'd be surprised at how few men there are actually in banking, at least in the first, like, 25%. It's vastly dominated by women.
Wow.
But when you start getting into like management fields and things like that, and no, any females out there, this is not systemic like oppression of females. Guys just tend to have some extra traits that maybe help them move into jobs, and women don't always want to do it. But anyway, I digress. I had access to some good men.
Yep.
And I found some good ones, and I found some not so good ones.
Yep.
And then the good ones like filtered themselves into who was the best for me and who wasn't.
Yep.
I found through sports, it was like we were talking about earlier, joining a team, being part of teams, doing all that sort of stuff was great. I carried on some friendships from school.
Yep.
And then I would find that when I would go out to things, so social functions around whether, if it was a work function or if it was a friend function, I was, a wedding or an engagement or whatever, I would take the opportunity to get to know some of the other guys that were present.
Right.
Right. And as a result, I was able to accumulate some good people.
That's good.
If that makes sense. But I didn't, and then of course doing the fun things like cosplay and stuff like that as well. It's a place where a lot of people come together. There's a lot of opportunity to have interactions, and I've met some interesting fellas.
Yep.
And I've met some upstanding fellas. And again, I have discerned with my age-old wisdom and life experience that perhaps these guys work for me and these ones don't. But slowly over time, you accumulate some, and then, when things change for you with others, they fall away. Perhaps you just become distant, and over time, it's like curating a garden.
It is. That's actually a very good analogy. I like that. Because, some people come and go in your life. That is normal. So don't feel bad that, your friend of, 10, 15 years happened to me. It's just our friendship ended. We are just very different people. Our core values are just so different that we just don't talk anymore. But in the same way, through like you said, so number one is through work. You can definitely have lots of work associates, which can become work friends, and that can kind of develop. In the same way, like what you said about cosplay. So I've been a cosplayer since 2007. So I've been it's most of my life I've been doing cosplay. And that's always been a passion for me. So I think meeting people through work, through your passion, pretty much anything that you're actually interested in. I'd like to think that you are interested in your work. Otherwise, you probably should be doing a different kind of work. Let's be real. So anything that you're interested in, you will find people with similar interests by going to activities or events with those kinds of people. So people say, I hate that a lot of, again, just in my field of work, which is doing social skills coaching, a lot of people say, I've tried meeting up people on Discord, or I've tried doing, Facebook online meetups. And you can only you can barely scratch the surface for meeting people online, because as scary as it might be, you actually get to know people in person monumentally better. Do you actually get along as people? Do you like who they are? Do they like how they treat you? Do they like their vibe? Right?
Yeah.
So
I think, just quickly on that, I think it takes a very special person or set of people to be able to develop a fully fledged friendship online. And like I've heard it a couple of times, but I think that the people involved were genuinely themselves instead of creating a persona.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it's otherwise, like, you curate what you say, you think about everything that you type.
Yep.
Right? You only give the information that seems relevant at that point. So you never get a full picture, like you said, of who that person is. And then when you try and meet, you're like, this might work, but we're basically starting from scratch, because how well do we actually know each other? So yeah, that online stuff is a real trap for most people.
It is. Look, there are ways in which it can work.
Yes.
I'll give some real examples real quick. So number one, best way to meet people is in person. That is the best way to meet people. Whether it be through, again, work is hopefully it's something you're actually interested in. But number two would be your hobbies, your passions that you actually enjoy doing, that you wake up in the morning thinking, I'm going to do that. If you like card games like me, you go to card game events. If you like cosplay like me, you go to cosplay events. If you like lifting like Byron, you go to bloody, workout conventions. I know they exist. Not workout, what do you call them? Yeah, so you gotta workout. If you like business, go to business networking events. If you like, I don't know, sports is pretty easy. Just join a club. Go play other clubs, right? But apart from just going to those events, you do need to make an effort to actually go and talk to people. Again, can be scary, can be difficult, but it's a skill. You need to learn how to talk to people, introduce yourself, show off your best self, show off your genuine persona, and not just have this mask on of something curated which you think people will like.
Yeah.
You can meet people online. It is possible. However, the best way to meet people, and if this is the road you want to go, you can, but play, again, online games in which it's possible to talk to people, get a vibe for their personality, and see if you want to keep in touch. Right? So it's simple as like, you play a game with someone. Hey, you're pretty cool. Like, let's play another game together. Because you share a passion in games, right? But that's typically, would you agree that's kind of the best ways to meet people? Find things that you actually like and go to things that are relevant?
I was thinking about it. There's probably not too many other ways, unless it's like an arranged friendship where your parents are like, you're going to be friends with Johnny over there. Because
that's how childhood friendships are made, right? Typically.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
But yeah, like I've always been pretty happy whenever someone comes up to me, especially guys, like, hey, you seem pretty cool. Like, let's chat. I'm like, sweet, you seem pretty cool. Let's chat. So, but again, what do you think when, a new dude, never really met them before, suss each other out? I think for me personally, it's like, oh, what's the vibe like? Is this guy, happy, energetic, not trying to, I don't know, peacock or, push me down as a man because he wants to assert his dominance or something. It's happened before and it's so stupid. Like, you meet someone and that's the first thing they want to do. But what kind of do you look for when you meet people, you meet new people?
I don't even know if I have a way of describing it. I do, like, I'm pretty harsh in first meetings because I'm a big believer in, especially coming from a sales background, your first impression matters a lot.
It does.
Right? Yeah. So if you come in half baked and you say some stupid shit, like, you're going to have to do a lot to really get another chance at trying to make something work. But I will say the vibe and the energy that people display on that initial interaction is very important. And the number one thing with guy to guy is, if I get a guy who tries to I'm somewhat built, I seem pretty confident when I'm out and about. If you come up to me and the first thing you try and do is like tell me how much better you are than me at all the shit that I might be interested in, I'm just gonna be like, all right, bro, you do you, man. Have a good day. I don't care. I don't care. You just ta-ta.
Yeah.
Like, that's not if you want to get to the point where eventually we can have some friendly rivalry and we can talk gym and you can be like, yeah, I benched 155 today. I know your PB's only 150, bro, but you'll get there. Like, if you want to get to that point, like, come talk to me as a human first.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me as a guy. Just talk to me as a dude who, and cosplay is a big one for it, right? Like there aren't a super large amount of fit dudes that are there. Every guy that I meet that is genuinely interested in just having a chat about the costume or whatever, I'm like, yeah, I got time for you. Let's see
Yeah.
where this goes. But the ones who are just like, oh, bro, oh,
Oh, dude,
I'm the sickest one here.
whether
I'm like, go away.
cosplay is pretty bad for that. If the first thing they try to do is, I don't know, assess how good you are at costuming or how, I don't know, how much effort you put in, it's the same thing as you meet someone and the first thing they try to do is like, oh, what kind of car do you drive? Oh, only that. Well, I'm driving a Porsche.
It's like how small is your penis?
Oh,
Like,
Jesus
should
Christ.
we flop it out?
Like,
Christ.
if the first thing you want to say to someone is, you know, kind of show how much better you are at something, like, are you even trying to connect with people or are you just trying to push everyone away?
What they're doing, no, they're looking for followers, right? They're looking for
Jesus.
people to join their little clan with them as the alpha male. Then they can like strut around and be like, yeah, I'm good. Like, it's like, all right. We're not equals. You're not looking for an equal exchange.
Oh,
You're
'cause
just looking for something else.
if anyone's confused, that's not a friendship. A friendship is something in which you see each other as individual people with your strengths and weaknesses who you can learn something from the other person and they could learn something from you. And even if that's not the case, in which I know perhaps Byron is superior in every way to me, if he just like, hey, the very minimum that you should want to bring to any new interaction or friendship is just good vibes. If you're someone who's
100%.
just pleasant and kind and fun to be around, that's the basis for pretty much any
Yeah.
relationship or friendship.
I was going to quickly flip it onto the other side, right? Because we've talked about like alpha male syndrome.
Yeah.
And then, like, there are plenty of guys who might find their way into like a circle of conversation who are pretty reserved, right? And they can. The unfortunate part for them is they can fly under the radar.
Yep.
As much as possible. Like I personally try and engage with everybody, and I often find that when you get them sort of to the side a little bit, and you can engage a bit more one on one, they open up a little bit more, which is great.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those guys, right? Don't be afraid to sort of be like, you know, make a little bit of a shimmy across, or like when someone says something, you can add something that of your own of value into the conversation. And you'll find like groups, especially in like those formats, will split and splinter and do all sorts of things.
Yep.
And then when you get into that chat, don't be afraid. Like, just be like, just enjoy the ride, go with the flow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like those guys might fly under the radar a little bit, but you know that this is where it's up to them to, like, I want to give you guys permission. This is my permission. Like, talk.
You have Byron's permission.
Be courage
to engage.
You have my permission.
You can do it.
Have some courage. I believe in you.
Because
Like,
yeah, I
don't know
think
how else to
I
describe
think it's
it.
one of those things too, in which a lot of you see those memes everywhere. It's like, oh, the extroverts the ones who makes friends, and the introverts the ones who are getting picked up by the extroverts under their wing, so they can become part of the friend circle. Like, just to let you know, if anyone doesn't know, I am a super introvert. I fucking love staying at home, but
Yes.
it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm bad at socializing. Yeah, I love to socialize too. Just my battery goes down very quickly. And it gets elevated. My battery refills when I'm by myself.
Guilty introvert.
Oh, there
as
you
well,
go.
believe it or not.
I did
Yeah.
not know that. There we go.
There you go.
So, okay, again, this is what I teach social skills stuff with introverts. If anyone doesn't know this, the difference between extroverts and introverts is extroverts are people who love being around others and they gain energy. Their battery fills up. They love being around people, right? And when they're by themselves, that battery goes down. They don't feel as great, right? Introverts, exact opposite. Their battery goes down when they're around people. And it goes up when they're
100%.
by themselves. That's it. So yeah, you can absolutely have introverts who are great at socializing. And you can absolutely have extroverts who are terrible at socializing. Think about any annoying uncle or auntie who all they wanted to do was tell you how to live their life and boast about their car and tell you everything and not listen to a word you say. That's an example of a bad extrovert. They just want to
Yeah.
tell them all about themselves, right?
And we all know them.
Yeah, everyone knows someone like that in their life, right? And, you know, they don't have bad intentions, but
Yeah.
they're just not quite calibrated socially. And, hey, we've all got room to improve and grow. So it's not the end of the world. Okay, so as we can see, just building those connections, building those friendships. You have Byron's permission to go out there and
You have my permission.
to go out there and start those conversations and meet those people in any which way that you find comfortable. However, let's move on to actually having, as a guy, having girls as friends.
Ooh,
Byron,
Jeremy.
do you think, firstly, I'll give you my opinion next, but in your opinion, for a guy, is it appropriate to have girls as friends? And I'll say as platonic friends.
I think it is appropriate, and I think it does take on a different dynamic to what kind of friendship you would have with guys in a lot of cases. I know there are some girls who grow up around guys and so are a bit more used to guy antics.
Yep.
And probably can take, because let's be real, guys are pretty brutal to each other. Like we say stupid shit, we call each other out, we're a bit mean, rude, and we're like, oh, that's kind of funny. But
Yep.
you do that with a girl who it's not always going to go very well.
Yeah.
And then girls provide a different perspective and a different welcomingness to insights on troubles and situations and things like that.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think they're acceptable. I think there also needs to be a clear distinction, because I will say boys and men in general tend to create a relationship in their mind that might always move away from friendship as well. And
Yes.
that could be a tricky one to navigate.
I think
if you're not aware of what's going on.
100% agree. That's. I think that's very well put. That's a very well put statement. Just for the record, I am in agreement with you. I 100% believe that guys and girls can be platonic friends.
Yes.
There is a whole narrative that people spin that no, you can't. If you are friends with a girl, that is potentially cheating, or you're not actually friends. You're just waiting for them to become single, and so I can, go into this friendship with something more. But
yeah.
I think the biggest thing that could define it is your intentions.
Yeah.
Right. If you go into a friendship with a lady with the intention of like, yeah, I want to date her, I want to sleep with her, I want to have something more romantic with them, and if I can't get those things from them, then I'm not interested. You're the problem, my friend. You're the problem.
Yes.
Because you absolutely can have a beautiful platonic friendship with a girl. And it's like you said, I think women are able to provide different perspectives and different viewpoints that we definitely don't see as men first and foremost, which is why I think it's great to have them as friends too, because say you do have an issue with something, say you are struggling with something and you kind of need a little bit of counsel, you can go to your guy friends. And biggest example, say you've got girl troubles, you don't really know how to approach the situation because you got a crush on Sally, and you'd be like, oh, Byron, what do I do? And Byron might be like,
just ask her out, bro.
just ask her out, bro. Just do it. Just don't be a pussy. Just ask her out.
Don't be a pussy. Yeah, it's
Right? But then if I go and ask my lady friend, her name's, I don't know, Samantha. I was like, Samantha, I really like Sally. What do I do? It's like, well, I don't know. Have you talked to her? Like,
No.
have you talked to her? Like, what does she actually like to do? You know, are you getting a vibe between each other? Like, never thought about it that way. There's a lot of value that can be had by having guy friends and girlfriends, and I think it's important to have a healthy mix of both because they're both going to bring. I mean, just different people bring different things into your life.
Yeah.
And
I'll say that while you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, the important part is boundaries, like respecting boundaries, communicating, and I think it becomes even more important if you do have a relationship. Like, how do you go about balancing what those boundaries and that communication looks like? And maybe we can talk about it as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great point to bring up, please.
And then the last part of it as well, again, especially with females and having them as friends, is putting your ego aside that no, they're not in love with you, and no, you don't know everything.
Yes.
And no.
Yes.
Like, again, ego is the killer here.
Ego is the killer.
Again.
I want to address that first, actually, because I think a lot of people a lot of guys don't really feel like they can be friends with a girl or only friends because either it's like, oh, well, I either want something romantic or something more, or I can't do it, man. Or again, that's a you problem. Or B, in that you feel like oh, men are better than women or they know more, and so therefore their opinion is invalid. Like, that's stupid. That's absolutely
Absolutely
stupid.
stupid.
It's like, just because someone's gender is different from yours, it doesn't make them any less valuable, or doesn't make their opinion, any less valuable. It doesn't make their experiences any less valuable. It's all the same. You brought up a good point too, actually, of if you are in a relationship with a girl, which, we both are,
Or a guy.
or a guy, if you're in a relationship, does that change the dynamic of, having friends as of the opposite gender? Because I'm in a relationship now, does that mean I can't have friends who are women?
I actually had a gentleman. We had a very long conversation about this. He said that, well, it was. I don't know if it still is, actually. I haven't talked to him about it in recent times, but he was of the opinion that if you have a partner, then you cannot have a girlfriend, right? Point blank.
If you have a partner, if you have a partner, you can't have a friend who's a girl.
Sorry, yes,
Okay.
a friend who's a girl.
And what was his reasoning behind this outlandish statement?
Because boys want more than just, friendship. I was like, okay. And then the reverse was true. Like, a girl couldn't have, if the girl has a partner, then they couldn't have a friend who is a boy, right? Because at that point you start blurring the lines of, well, why do you need it in the first place? Like, you already have one, and you can get all the perspective and things of, and you should be having all your needs met by that person. Why do you need to go and blur the lines by entertaining other options? And that was the only way that it could be seen. It was like and like what you said, that there's got to be some sort of sexual tension between boy and girl.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. And I'll admit, at the time, I was like, yeah, that's probably true, right? Like, that's got to be right. Like, because emotional cheating's a thing.
Emotional cheating is
these
a thing.
sort of things.
Absolutely.
100%. I was like, oh yeah, that's probably right. And I think I've come to the realization that, just in exactly what you said, the intention of the relationship is extremely important. And then the communication and openness around what that relationship then looks like with your actual partner is also very important.
It's paramount. Absolutely.
Because you might be secure that you are absolutely of no interest to this person and vice versa.
Yep.
And that your love is solely for this person. But if your partner, because they might not be as secure as you, if you're not communicating that in the way, and then you're letting that, that notion in their mind that you might run off with another girl fester in their brain, it's like what are you doing with that person that you're involved with? It's a big can of worms, which I'm interested to hear on.
Your perspective. You bring up a very good point, and it's like, the lines blur. Like, you should have all your needs met by my one partner. That is the part that trips me up, and that is the part which I very much disagree with.
Okay.
Because just like I have different guy friends, and different guy friends might be for different things. Like, I love talking with you about all cool things about guys and masculinity and cosplay and stuff like that. I've also got friends I will play League of Legends with. I've also got friends that I will just go running with. I've got friends that I'll go have boy brunch with just because he lives down the road. It doesn't mean that my relationship with you is any less because I've got another friend.
Yeah.
In the same way that with my partner, just because I've got a friend who is a lady, yes, I can get all of my perspectives and opinions from my partner about a particular issue. I can also get someone else's opinions and perspectives of the same issue from a different angle, just because they're a different person and they also happen to be a girl.
Yes.
So in the way that's saying all of my needs are met by this one person, I find that completely untrue. And I think it's almost foolish to say I expect my partner to fulfill all of my needs in life. They need to be my League of Legends buddy, my sexual partner, my gym buddy, my running buddy, my travel buddy. Like,
the only lady you ever talk to.
Only I ever talk to. And it's just not realistic and not healthy to put all that expectation on the one person. And I believe that the people who do that to their partners, they expect them to fulfill every need in their life. Those are the relationships that over time do start to become toxic.
Yeah. Yeah, it becomes over reliant, right?
Oh, over reliant, codependent.
I did think about the
Oof.
situation where, so if I was thinking about what would happen if my girlfriend said to me, "Hey, I'd like to go and have coffee with this guy friend." I was like, what happens in this situation? How do I actually feel about it? And it's like, do I know the guy friend is probably the first thing. You know, am I like, and because I'm not a perfectly secure man at all times.
Yep.
You know, I can get a little bit jelly
Oh,
from
well,
time to time.
that's a natural human reaction. Absolutely.
Well, I hope so. I'm
is.
outing myself here. But if she said to me, "Hey, I'd like to go meet up for coffee with this dude," you don't know him, but you know, I've known him for ages.
Yeah.
Can I go? I'd be like, let's have a bit more of a chat about it. Let me try and gauge how I'm feeling about this one here, because like while I don't necessarily distrust her,
Yes.
I distrust other guys a lot of the time, especially ones I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what are his intentions?
Right.
Right? In the same way that we say, you know, what are our intentions going into like if you were to have a friend as a girl?
Yep.
You know, my intention of a friend with a girl would be something completely platonic, because I don't need or have a want for anything other than the beautiful lady I have in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the guy that I do not know, who she would like to go have a platonic male relationship,
Yep.
what if his intentions are, well, hey, sexy lady, like, I'm going to try and lure you away from your beautiful little man over there.
Can I put my 2 cents in for this particular
Please,
situation?
this is good.
Yeah, okay. So my perspective is, yeah, have that conversation with her and be like, oh, how do you know them? Do you feel safe around this person? I think that would be my biggest question.
That's a good question.
My biggest question is, do you feel safe around this person? And if they say, yeah, I do feel safe around them, I feel towards them as a friend completely platonically, and that's my genuine, and you might express your concerns. Like, hey, look, I'm kind of a bit worried because, you know, I feel a little bit jealous because I'm afraid that, you know, maybe you've got a thing for this guy, you know? And if you express that to them earnestly and honestly, the best thing that they can say to you is, hey, look, thank you for telling me about that. I want to assure you that I don't have, you know, any of those kind of feelings for this person. And, you know, I just love you. And I, you know, just want to catch up with this guy for coffee, but that's really all it's going to be. Because at that point in time, I would put my trust in my partner. And
Yes.
if that...
You have to, right?
You have to. Because if you can't say, it's like, oh, you're not allowed to go. That's
Yeah.
the start of something controlling and toxic, right?
Yeah.
We let them go and you trust in them. If that guy chooses to try and make a move, your trust is going
And
to be
it's
in
knock
your
his face in.
Yeah, that's it. It's
No, kidding.
it should be at that point in time. Your trust should be in
Yeah.
in your partner to be like, hey, you know,
Yes.
I appreciate your affection, but I'm not interested. It's the same.
I really like that.
Yeah, and it's the same thing for. And this is again. Hopefully, people listening to this will take this on board. If you go out somewhere, and you go out in the evening to enjoy the evening, you go out to a show, you go out to the club, whatever it is, you're dating an attractive person. People are going to want to talk to them. If anything, feel flattered. It's like, oh, you know, people, you know, also wants to talk to my partner. At the end of the day, you cannot be someone who puts them in this cage and says, no one touch, like, this is mine. And this is what I love. You can stand at the bar, they can go dance, and some guy might try to come and dance with them. But at the end of the day, you have trust and you have faith in your partner that they are going to, it's like, oh, you know, thanks for the dance, I'm going to go back to my partner because I love them so much.
Yes.
The biggest power play you can make is by not getting reactive to someone else coming over to try and, you know, shoot their shot. It's going to happen because you're dating a wonderful, attractive person. And
if she does something dumb, she's missing out on the awesome person that you are.
That's
right?
it. That's it. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
if they choose to go off with someone else, then that's not reflective of you. That's reflective of them.
Yeah.
And
It's interesting because like
Yeah.
opens up the whole idea, the fear of loss, right? I think that's why
Yeah.
people start to become controlling.
It is.
That they're going to lose that connection that they cherish,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want to lose it because we all know that sort of thing's painful. I know we're talking about male friendships,
Yeah,
but it's a. I like this little segue.
No,
This has been
I
good.
do as well. It's again, it always comes back to ego because it makes you feel like, you know, you're not good enough. It makes you feel like, you know, you're not being enough for this woman. And
100%.
what happens when we feel like we're not good enough? We start to feel insecure. We start to want to keep them. Feel, you know, what do you call it? tie them down, marry them,
Yeah, constrain them.
constrain them kind of thing. But end of the day, you can put a ring on it. You can keep them at home as much as you want. But if they want to go out and see someone else, they will go out and see someone else. There's not a thing in the world you can do to stop it. So the only thing that you can do really is be the best version of yourself, show them how much you treasure them and you care for them, and don't give them any reason to want to, stray to see someone else, and make every other relationship a platonic one, because that's all they're going to want.
And worse comes to,
Yeah.
because you've done a great job at curating a lot of strong male friendships.
Yeah.
If things go south, you have some good buddies to go out and feel good with.
Exactly.
That's all fine.
And I think that is the fundamental part of building friendships, is having other people in your life that you can talk to, that you can rely on for fun in times of needs. And that's why I think it's important to have different friendships and not just your one partner and nothing else, because you're going to really dig yourself into a hole. So,
all right, I guess females are allowed.
we say ladies here, Byron. We say ladies.
Oh, ladies, I'm sorry.
Ladies.
I'm still in the 50s.
Listen, the modern age, we respect our ladies. Okay?
I say that with nothing but respect.
I know you do, but we're gonna change the way that you're perceived into a good thing. It's all good intention here. Anyway.
Yeah. I didn't actually offend anybody. God, sorry.
Forgive Byron. Forgive me if I'm not going to put myself on a pedestal. Forgive me if I've said anything that's rubbed someone the wrong way. Oh dear. Anyway, this was a really good chat about the bonds of friendship, and how they can be forged, why we should nourish them. And look, if you guys got any questions, you got any other thing that pops up in your mind, feel free to send us a DM on Instagram. We'll kind of be happy to take questions and try and answer them at some point.
The Just Men podcast. You can try doing it on our personal ones, but my inbox is pretty full and it'll be straight up. So I probably will miss it.
He gets a lot of messages from
I'm sorry.
Just
I really
Men.
am sorry.
Let's be real.
Oh yeah.
So if hey,
I was going to say, or come join us over on the Patreon, it's a little bit of an exclusive club. Just Men Club.
The Just Men Club. I think it's the BJ Man.
BJ fam.
The BJ fam. Oh god. Oh well, look, we'll work that out in time. But again, just another plug. If you want to follow either Byron or my personal Instagram, Byron can be found at
Byron Rose Kelly. Pretty simple.
And you can find me at very.jeremy. Rhymes. I thought that I might change to Just Jeremy. Just Man Podcast, Just Jeremy. That alliteration.
That's actually
big
brain.
I'll think about that one. And if you want to follow the podcast itself, you'll find it at Just Men Podcast on Instagram. And again, just one final note: if you enjoyed our vibe, you've stuck around this long, and you want to support the podcast, please consider visiting our Patreon at Just Men Podcast on Patreon. It's very easy to find, and consider supporting us there to help this podcast even further, so we can bring you even more value in the time to come. But thank you very much for listening, Byron. That was a good chat. We should do it again sometime.
Definitely, Jeremy. I think I'll probably be here next week if you want to tie me down.
Let's do it again. Now we're gonna go play some Terraria for a bit and wind down.
Yes,
that's our little post podcast ritual. We're gonna play some Terraria. It's great. Okay,
I'm so excited.
Thanks very much, guys, for tuning in. We will see you next week. Bye bye.
Peace.